Yo, what is up, everybody?
What's going on and on to the break of dawn?
Welcome back to the Up to It podcast.
Up to it, we doing it well. And that what
Hey,
LL said.
yeah, you know what it is. Hey, we took the week off, huh? We took the week
Uh,
off.
oh yeah. Well, just a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, we didn't really take it off, but you know. But hey, let's go ahead and jump into that intro so we can let these people know that we're talking about blame it on the alcohol, alcohol.
In the words of Jamie Foxx, let's get it.
Let's do it.
Blame it on the alcohol. We talking
Yeah.
about gin and juice. We talking about Hennessy. We talking about your favorite Patron. We talking about it.
To kill you.
But not in that light, right? We're not talking about it in a party way, but it could be, right?
Could be.
The way
It
that we're
does
talking about it.
sometimes.
And I'm glad that we're talking about this topic early before, because usually, not usually, but sometimes we scramble on topics. But I'm glad because we had a viewer, a listener that listened in, and they sent us little requests about, hey, you should talk about alcohol on your podcast because graduation is right around the corner in
Right around.
May, right? For us in Arizona in May, but I think a lot of other people, right? May, June is like
Yep.
graduation
All in
party.
there. All in there. Yeah.
So they thought, hey, let's bring it up because that's what we do in prevention. We talk early and talk often. So when we talk about alcohol and we talk about it with minors, even though people are like, we're 18, like, are they really minors though? In the eyes of the law, no. But developmentally, we both know that, yeah, they are still considered minors because the legal age to drink is still 21.
21.
unless we're where? Unless we're in
In
Mexico?
Mexico or yeah, or abroad, definitely. Sometimes have some different, but then there's some countries where you ain't supposed to be doing it at all. It's just not
Right?
legal at all.
But there's a lot of people that a lot of parents that often have this perspective that I want you to talk about it a little bit. But the thing that gets brought up is, well, I'd rather have my youth drink with me than be out somewhere getting drunk or getting lit and not be under my supervision. Do you think how do you feel about that perspective?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I get why parents in the beginning or just think that it's okay to do that, but you set a precedence of, well, is it just with you the parent or can I do that with any adults? Though that may not be your parent or can be an older cousin, brother, sibling, um and it's just kind of steamrolls from there. I feel and I've seen. And so, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I don't think parents should be promoting that. I think the other thing that ends up happening is it's not normally a lot of times just the father, mother, and son or daughter that's 18 drinking between 18 and 21 drinking with them. It then ends up being like, hey, can I bring the son or daughter, hey, can I bring a friend over? You know what I'm saying? The parents like, yeah, saying you're under my roof. But then the parents don't get the permission of the other parent for that to occur, right? And then that sets the precedent also of that. I feel, in my opinion, that well, you know what? There'll be this one time, yeah, we could do it one time without our parents, or parents go out to, go out on a date or, go to the movies or whatever it may be. And, the youth is at home with their friends and they're like, my parents let me, drink anyway. So let me just go ahead and break into the stash. The other thing that I've also seen working at a residential facility with some youth that had come through was that it then, when the parents aren't home or even are home, the youth feels like, well, they don't mind if I drink, so I'm just going to be, creeping it, when they're not paying attention. I'm just going to break into the liquor cabinet, what I'm saying, or whatever, and do the whole thing of, it's vodka. I'm gonna pour a little vodka out for myself, fill it back up with some water. You know what I'm saying? And because my parents don't drink that often, and parents aren't paying attention to the limits and all that. So I mean, those might be the three reasons why I would say it's not beneficial. The other thing I think parents need to be careful of and know and remember is that it is illegal. And so if you have youth over your house, especially during graduation, you mentioned graduation,
Mhm.
and people turn up and get lit and then end up driving home or whatever and get in an accident, you're liable
Mhm.
for serving alcohol to a minor. So here's the other thing that parents do. You can tell I know a lot of information about this. Sorry, is
No, go off, go off.
is you're talking about drinking at home, but talking about graduation, people are like, well, I'm just gonna I'm gonna collect everybody's keys.
Mm,
Gonna collect everybody's keys.
okay.
Well, you know what? The fact of the matter is, unfortunately, is a lot of times when I've seen this occur, parents don't stay up the whole night with the
Mm.
youth. And someone always like, I mean, and youth are creative. They're like, hey man, just go in there and grab my keys. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, so the next thing you know, you've just increased your liability and your responsibility by 1,000. Um, and so yeah, I just don't I think you open up Pandora's box and you just gotta be careful.
No, I agree 100%. And when you're talking, another thing that got brought up to mind for me is from my age range, my demographic, we're the older siblings. You know what I mean? And for those of us that have younger siblings or younger cousins and younger friends, I guess, buying alcohol for minors is extremely illegal, right? Extremely,
That's true.
extremely illegal. And I just never got it. I got in one dispute a while back, but it just didn't sit right with me. You know what I mean? Even if they're family members, even if they are your brother, little sibling, or whatever the case may be, it's just illegal, point blank, period, right? We shouldn't be buying alcohol for minors, and that sets you up and makes you look kind of weird. You know what I mean? About perspective, I'm talking about people our age. It's like, well, why are you buying alcohol for underage folks, and why are you turning up with them at the same time? You know what I mean? So that's a lot. There's a lot of questions that get involved and that don't necessarily need to be had, right? And we can avoid that and prevent that from happening by not having to buy alcohol for underage people. I mean, y'all did LPKNC did an amazing campaign a while back, and y'all still do it, right? The sticker shock
Yep,
campaign,
yep, yep, yep.
the "Don't Buy for the Little Guy," and I remember being part of that campaign, putting stickers on Bud Light on some of the things, or even on the glass where people were
Mhm.
there. But that was a movement created so that the adults knew that, hey, this is extremely illegal. Don't buy for the little guy, because it's,
So
like I
true.
said, extremely illegal. So don't get yourself in that kind of trouble, so to speak.
I know the other thing that I've heard people say, and I kind of fall into this camp. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Keeping it 100 is, you know, when you're 18, you are an adult. You can also vote. You also can, buy a firearm.
Mhm.
Um, you can also, uh, serve in our military to protect our great nation. And so, I personally feel that if we're able to do those things, die for our country, vote, um, and other things legally at 18, then you should be able to. However, with that being said, while that's what I believe personally, that's not what the law says. And so, got to be adhering to the law so that people don't get in trouble. Um, and so, I think that it's it is what it is and it be what it be, and we just kind of gotta roll. But here's the other thing that I like to share with people is, and you know this, I've shared this with you,
Mhm.
man. If you wait till you're 21, um you got plenty of time to drink between 21 and the time you die. That's a lot of years, you know what I
Right.
mean, to try everything. And figure it all out, because it is, I mean, trying to figure out what you like. And it's better just to wait. I didn't drink until I was I think I was 19 or 20 when I had
Mhm.
my first drink. So, I was close to the 21 age. But I always preach in our household. And I think that's one of the tips that I would give parents is, having the conversation, like we say, often and early. What are the rules in your house? But be careful of opening up Pandora's box, of allowing them to start early. I mean, even examples, and I talk about this a lot of times with parents. Something as simple as, and parents probably wouldn't even think of that this is could be an issue or start something, but which is like, you're at a quinceañera, or
Mhm.
you're at the garden kicking back, or you're at, a birthday party or a wedding, or baptism.
Yeah.
And Theo is like, hey, Junior, man, go grab me a beer.
Mm.
Right. You know how many times I heard the story of young people telling me like, yeah, my first drink of beer was when I went to go get that bottle for the older person. And when I was bringing it back, I took a sip. You know what I mean? And that's when the first one, of course, the first sip, most of them don't like. And then granted, that's beer. Now, if it might be
A
wine
mixed drink.
cooler or something like
Yeah.
a mixed drink, mixed drink, wine cooler, then they might be like, ooh, that's not too bad. That's like Kool-Aid. You know what I
Right.
mean? But again, you're starting something there too. But with the beer, when it's the first time most people take a sip of beer, they don't really like it. And then it becomes an acquired taste after a while. And so if you start at that young age, you begin to possibly increase the chances of there being some problems. And so again, little things like that. I think the other thing that kind of gets to me, I used to DJ a lot of quinceañeras and sweet 16s. And man, it'd be so frustrating because the party was supposed to be for the 15 or the 16-year-old.
Right.
I got their parents running up on the DJ booth talking about, hey, can you play this song for me? And my friends and I want to do, and I'm like, and then but here's the other thing is like, so I got mom coming up telling me they want to hear this, and then I got, the birthday girl or guy coming up and saying they want to hear this. Now, who am I supposed to go with? Like,
Right.
what's I mean, so some people may say, well, you do both. You do both, but mom and dad or the older people, they can party later. This is
Right. Go
this
out to
is
the
supposed
club.
to be a moment for your 15 or 16-year-old when you've hired me to do that, but yet you want to take. Yes, I know you paid for it. I get it, but this is their day. You
Mhm.
got the rest of your day. They're only 15 or 16, right? They get a
Right.
birthday every year. But you could turn up anytime you want. You can go to a club. You can buy your own DJ. I'll come and do that for you. So yeah, it used to frustrate me, man. So my point being is, even at like baptismals and things of that nature, people are doing a lot of drinking at these events that are supposed to be celebratory of the young person, and we're beginning to set a precedent that in order to celebrate means that you always have to have alcohol there.
100%. A
You
hundred
always
percent.
have to have alcohol there. And so I don't believe that's what we want to. And again, these are type of things, man, where Stephen Covey said, start with the end in mind.
Mhm.
When we have young people in our lives, and if you have kids, and even for the young people, thinking about where you're trying to go in life, even though you may not think about it right now, you need to be thinking a little bit about that. Is what kind of person do I want to be? How do I want to develop? Is you got to start with the end in mind. So if you're doing all these things in the beginning at an early age, you're setting yourself up for being that, which
Right.
in this case, we're talking about alcohol, is if you start drinking at 13, 14, 15, 16, then you're getting yourself prepared to be a drinker
Mhm.
and probably take it further than it needs to go, which means possibly becoming addicted um, to the substance, or it not doing enough for you. So then you find other substances to complement and or supplement um, that feeling that you want to get, because now it's getting more difficult for you to get the same feeling from from one beer. Now you need 6. Oh, well, the beers aren't working anymore. So, now I got to go to, vodka. Well, vodka's not working. So now I'm gonna go to, saying, I don't know,
Whatever's next up or
Hennessy or
cocktailing, right?
whatever.
Mixing.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So again, it's a slippery slope. I say just wait. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. I think when as you were speaking, a couple stats came to mind, and I think I want to share this for the parents and youth that listen to this podcast together. For the youth that's listening, is you know, people that use before the age of 15 are 5 times more likely to struggle with addiction. Right? That's from the University of Columbia. 5 times more likely to struggle with addiction. And I love how you mentioned um, the conversation about quinceañeras and all that good stuff because in the Mexican culture when you're 15 you're seen as a young person, a young adult, but even though it's culturally acceptable it doesn't mean it's healthy, right? And you got to be able, and it's kind of weird, and I always tell youth that it's always hard to say no to maybe a trusted adult, like your tío or your mom or your dad, and being like, no, I'm good, but they don't have that information that you have now, knowing that, well, I don't want to be 5 times more likely to struggle with addiction. So you can say, you know what, I don't feel like drinking, I don't want to do that, and that's okay and that's valid. And you know what I noticed, Pop? I think adults are also very into that peer pressure type of thing as well. Like they think they're doing the youth a favor. Oh, I'm the cool Theo, or I'm the cool mom, or the cool parent. Like, come on, take advantage. Like, come on, I'm giving you, like, don't be a wussy. Like, take, you know what I mean? But that doesn't do anything for youth. That doesn't benefit them in any way, shape, or form. So for a youth to say no to a trusted adult, that's awesome, because that means that you're able to have those refusal skills when it is a friend, when it is a homie, right? Because if you're able to say no to a trusted adult, you'll be able to say no or refuse any other things when you're out there in the real world. And that's one of the things I just really wanted to get across for youth, is that, again, just wait. There's no need to be in here dabbling with these substances, especially alcohol. Alcohol is severe too. I don't think people understand how crazy the withdrawal is from alcohol and how
Mhm.
unsafe it is to do it cold turkey. Like, if you are somebody who is an alcoholic, you have to go to a residential facility, because no way to you do it by yourself, because you can end up killing yourself
Right.
by trying to detox by yourself. You got to get it medically, and it's not a game. Like, it's not a game. Alcohol poisoning is real. I know a lot of friends that gone out to these functions and parties, and the next day they had to get their stomach pumped, because
Mhm.
they were overdoing it. They were just, and it isn't a pretty, man. It isn't cool, and that's what I really want to get across for these young people, is that, man, just wait until you're 21. And as we know, the brain doesn't fully develop until 25 anyway. And if you can wait until you're 25, I got a homie who's been waiting since he's 25, and he's still going to keep going. And yo, he's still living his life. He's still going out to parties and to the clubs and having a good time and
Mhm.
dancing. And he just like, you know what? I don't want to deal with the hangover and stuff afterwards, but I'm still going to go out and participate in these activities and still have a good time.
Yeah,
So you can be that person too. You can
you
definitely
can
be
be.
that person. And there's nothing wrong with being that person. And especially now, because we're seeing a whole lot of alcohol companies now have 0% alcohol
Right.
in their
It is
products.
changing. Yeah.
So real quick, Dad, I want to talk about that as well. And I know for us, we're kind of like, well, I don't know how we feel about it, but I want to get your take on, well, if my youth isn't drinking alcohol, what about non-alcoholic beer? Could they have
Mm.
that at a young age? Do you think
Ooh,
that's appropriate?
that's a good one. Ooh,
Yeah.
I never thought about. Oh, yeah, dang, that's a good one. Uh, I think I'm okay with that. Again, I mean, I guess it might go a little against what I said earlier as far as an acquired taste, and you're setting yourself up. But there's no alcohol in it. Um, it's not going to impair you. Um, a lot of times it might just, I'm thinking of like, even if you had non-alcoholic wine coolers or something, that's a
Yeah.
that's a
A
that's like
juice.
Kool-Aid then, or strawberry something, or whatever. Um, you know, a virgin margarita or
A Shirley
strawberry
Temple or
daiquiri or
whatever.
Shirley
Yeah.
Temples. And I don't necessarily, I personally don't see anything wrong with that. I think is it would just be, again, just being mindful and paying attention to your young person, um, and making sure it's 0% alcohol.
Right.
Um, but again, you might be opening up Pandora's box and even playing with it, possibly. But again, I think that's where talking with your young person comes in handy. Is, why do you want to drink that? Um, I think that you can have a lot of fun with I guess they call them like mocktails,
Yeah.
which are non-alcoholic drinks, you know what I mean? Whether it be, like I said, strawberry lemonade or whatever it may be. And you just have like the colorful umbrellas and cherries in there and all that. I guess I don't see anything wrong with that. But that's a good one. That's a good one. I think with some of I think the only thing that might be 0% really is just beer, but I can see, like I said, wine coolers or White Claw and all them coming out with something
They
maybe
do.
with zero.
White Claw
Oh,
does
do
have
they?
a zero alcohol
Oh, do they?
seltzer now. So it's basically just water, seltzer water. That's what it
Right,
is.
right, right. But it's called White Claw.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's branded by White Claw. So people are like,
Oh,
which is crazy to me that now we're seeing this shift
huh.
between some youth or people my age not wanting
That
to
is
drink
true.
as
That's
much
true.
anymore. We're not really. I mean, and I say that, but then I fall victim to what we tell youth. Like it looks like everybody's doing it, right? But not everybody's doing it. Obviously, if these big companies are now making other products, that tells
Yeah.
me that they're looking at the numbers and they're seeing that people are not addicted to alcohol like they used to be anymore.
Right.
So we got
Or
to come
using
up
as
and
much. Yep.
pivot. So if that resonates with you as a youth to understand that not everybody's using, not everybody is out here drinking at these parties. And I tell a story, and you know what, I wish we had Jake White here on this podcast to talk about this a little bit more. But Jake White is the owner of Vive 18, and he goes out and talks to youth about substances and substance use, and he started a club, not a club, but he started throwing parties in Wisconsin um, during college. His college, he started throwing parties in Wisconsin where people were getting drunk and having a good time, whatever. That's what they
Mhm.
thought they were doing. And Jake didn't fall into that category of wanting to drink. That wasn't his thing. That wasn't his MO. So what he decided to do, he was like, well, let me throw a alcohol-free, drug-free party on campus. Let's see
Mm,
what happens. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that we can do? I mean, I feel alone. Let's see if there's a community, the people that will come up and pull up. So he went up and he started handing out flyers to this alcohol-free, drug-free party. And I think the number was like he met up with like 129 folks. And I love when he asked the youth this question of like, how many do you think showed up to this party? And the youth will be like, well, like maybe 12 people showed up out of 100 folks came up. And then he tells us that he's like, only 12? Like, you only think 12 people showed up? Like, come on now. Like, I'm pretty cool. But it turns out he ended up having like 60 to 70 folks show up at this party, at this function, and it was a hit.
start.
And it got a lot of attention from brands in the area like Red Bull, Pizza Hut, Subway to sponsor more of these events because they loved what
Mm,
he was doing and what the message was. So the reason why I share that with the youth today is to understand that you can have fun without using substances or alcohol. You can still show up
yeah.
to parties and have a good time, and you can be a trendsetter in that regard, right? Like, oh well, so and so's throwing a party, but everybody gets lit and it gets shut down quick. But so and so throws this party where it's mad cool. We're kicking it. We're playing water pong. We're doing all the things that we would be doing, but we still got good
That's
food. We got
right.
some water. We got some music. We got the people there, and it doesn't
Yeah.
get shut down easily, right? And I don't have to
Right.
worry about if I'm going to get arrested. So
Right.
understand that when
Mhm.
and you love saying this, and I love when you say it too, is when other people are zigging, you got to zag, man, and
Yep. Yep.
you'll be impressed about how many other people feel the same way that you do about certain situations, and like, I don't want to drink either, but I want to still have a good time. And you can
Yep.
resonate with those folks 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think the later that you wait, the better. It takes some finesse to learn how to drink. You got to know your body. You got things that you still need to do. Even when you get older, you still got to be responsible. You got to show up. If you're taking class, you don't need that interfering. What you need to do if you play sports, you need to be clear minded. I mean, trying to, run up and down the court or get hit on the football field or be wrestling or, running track and then all hung over and, playing soccer as much as y'all run. Good God almighty. Like having to deal with all that, that's crazy. So yeah, I think it's about just waiting, enjoying the life that you have. You can have a blast
Yeah,
with
100.
alcohol. I did not drink in high school
Yeah,
at all, and just had fun, man. I was able to, rock. I mean, I knew people that did drink, and they partied and stuff like that, but that wasn't for me. And I was still cool. I was cool with everybody. My peeps will tell you, I mean, I wasn't like, uh, what some may say a square or anything like that. I mean, I was invited to the dopest parties still, and connected with the baddest babes. You know what I'm saying? Hung out with the coolest bros. You know what I mean? It was still fun, man. And the thing that was crazy was nobody clowned on me about it. They would just be like, he'd be like, "Oh man, he don't do that." You know what I'm saying? I want to. They want to pass me a beer, and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, he don't drink." And it's funny because after a while, people like support you, kind of like, "I just don't give him one," but still have a good time. You know what I mean? So I think just waiting, because like I said earlier, when I, working at the residential facility, there were people that were coming in. I mean, there were teenagers, youngest 12, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, you know what I mean, that were addicted to alcohol.
yeah.
And the thing is, we don't see that. And this goes to your point, Z, where you said that like we see a lot of things on TV where it seems like, everybody's doing it, but everybody's not. And there are some people that are doing it that got caught up and had issues where it's affecting their relationships, it was affecting their health, it was affecting um, their schooling, and that's when it's a problem, man. And then like again, it can potentially snowball. So I think waiting is the best, and I think the way for I don't think we need to be scared of it, because again, in different countries, it's sometimes introduced earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there is a myth out there, talking about myths, where like Europe doesn't have a problem with binge drinking and people that have challenges with addiction to alcohol. That's a myth. They have those problems, even though um, you know partly because their kids start so young.
Mm.
The drinking age there is I think 16. Um, I have to double check that. Somebody fact check me on that. Send me an email, but I can check it out myself. But yeah, so when I used to travel through Amsterdam, I would think I was 16. Yeah, 16, 17. I could drink. You know what I'm saying?
18 for Europe.
18 for Europe.
UK, yep, 18.
Okay, okay. Um, and so, but yeah, 16. I don't know why they let us drink, but we did. Well, I didn't. I should say my friends did. They went to
They said, "We
when
got you, Jamal. We got you. You
right
said it."
when we go to Hard Rock or we went to the Bulldog, they would drink. So watching them do that, but I waited until, like I said, I was 19, 20, so I didn't wait until 21. Um, but I think the research shows that the later that you prolong your drinking, the less likely you are to have an issue.
Man, 100%.
So
100%.
So yeah, man, it's not an easy one. I think parents introducing it earlier and telling their kids just to wait and saying like, yeah, it does taste good sometimes, and sometimes acquired taste. And um, again, I think the most important thing is for families to sit down and talk about what their rules are going to be, and don't wait. I would say when it start, you can have this conversation in 7th or 8th grade, but definitely their freshman year in high school, families need to sit down and say, here's our rules around drinking. Because when these young people go to parties, um, and we think that it may be alcohol free or whatever, or no drugs, yeah, don't believe
They're
that.
creative.
There's
Yeah.
always somebody that wants to bring something. And so your young person needs to know what your family's values are around that. Um, and that's something else we could talk about later, that
Yeah.
Z and I I can share with you conversations that we had when he went in his freshman year, and then again another conversation when he got the keys to his car.
For
There
sure.
were there's some things that we talked about um before,
Mhm.
we gave him the keys to that car.
Actually, that's a good topic to talk about for the next podcast episode.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I
So
love
yeah, so talk with your youth early. Talk about your family values, because a lot of times young people, parents don't talk to young people about that. They just feel that they may know how you feel about it, or that because you said don't do it, that's enough. It's
Mhm.
not. They do listen to you. They do value your opinion. They may not like it, but they'll respect you down the road, later in life. And so, yeah, talk early, talk often, um, have those those tough conversations for stronger connections. And this is our opinion,
Yeah.
because we want to see our young people thrive. Um, your peeps are our peeps. So let's do this.
100%. And shout out to the listener that gave us this topic, by the way. And if you want to, you
Yeah.
can definitely hit us up on Instagram or hit us up on our website at uptwit.club and be like, yo, that was a great conversation. I want to hear more about how you had that conversation around sex. Because that one did actually, y'all were really interested in that one. That had a lot of downloads on the
Ooh,
first week.
dang.
Y'all liked the one about healthy relationships with youth and whatever. So if you're more interested, let us know maybe what you're going through, maybe how we could help or something. We would love to be a resource for you all with this podcast. So with that being said, we're gonna get up out of here. We hope that y'all have a great rest of your night, rest of your day,
Yes, sir.
and we out.
We out. We out.